What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another segment of HR Heretics. We're back with AI Corner with our homie, Siadhal. Siadhal, what's up, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. All right. So, Siadhal, there's been a lot going on in AI recently, and one of the trends I'm seeing on X is I'll call it the CEO mandate. And so I've seen two CEOs for sure. One's Tobi Lütke of Shopify. The other one is Levie of Box. And essentially what they're doing is they're sending out memos to their companies and saying everybody needs to be using AI and natively using AI. Tobi said some really interesting stuff in his memo. He said, you must be reflexive. Like AI usage must be reflexive, and that's now a baseline expectation. He said the way you get good at AI is by using it, which is obvious to me. And then before asking for headcount or resources, teams must demonstrate what they can't get done without AI. So what's your take on this trend, and how are you thinking about it as CEO of Metaview?
Yeah. I think AI is just all hype, to be honest with you. I think this is all a load of... I think it makes total sense. Basically, I've also seen the Duolingo CEO, Luis von Ahn, he put out a very similar point. They frankly have like pressures. I don't want to speak on their behalf. I don't know enough, but like I know there's a bunch of AI native language learning applications out there that are doing really well. So I'm sure they see it as like a very competitive threat as well. But they've done the same thing. And I've heard about it from our customers as well, where they have tried to work with us to basically lean on us to help them tell the story a little bit more internally of how they are already an AI native recruiting team. So basically it's happening, like as far as I'm concerned, across the board in any forward thinking company. And yeah, it makes total sense. On our side, we are an AI company, but we still find that frankly, we interview candidates who like are not fully sort of worshipping at the altar of the LLM yet. And for us, that's like a massive red flag. So it's definitely more formed in the minds of technology leadership than it is in the minds and like the fingers on keyboard work of a lot of the people like that do the work, frankly. So yeah, not surprised to see it as a trend. Have heard about it before these very public, sort of shout outs for it. And I think it's like a total inevitability that people who know how to orchestrate AI are going to be more effective. And people who aren't sort of jumping on the train and sort of like learning these skills, they're not sowing the seeds that they need to sow for their future success. And they're going to be found out at some point when they're trying to interview at my company or someone else's company. And they're like, oh, dang, you're not actually going to know how to operate within our company.
Yeah. So I heard a soundbite from a friend this week around headcount management. So in the past, typically, like if an employee leaves, immediately like a backfill opens. This is especially true at bigger companies. And at this company, which is a very large public company, they are no longer immediately approving headcount. In fact, like they are holding it and saying, well, how can you get more leverage with new technology, i.e. AI? And so I keep thinking about this of like, what does this mean? And so I think thing one is you have to be using it every day. I'm still talking to people who are like, I use it like once a week.
Yeah.
And Tobi's point about using it reflexively is exactly the feedback I've been trying to give myself.
Yeah.
Which is just like when something comes up, instead of like pinging a friend, I'm trying to treat ChatGPT as my friend.
Yeah.
I think number two is, I think we're starting to see it already, just very small so far, but headcount is going to come down or at least flatten, right? Because if you do have more leverage, you don't need as many employees. What's your view on the headcount piece?
I think that's going to happen. And I think there's going to probably be an unfortunate, and maybe you're doing this to be honest, but I could be wrong. So I think this is more like exploring this. I think there's an unfortunate, maybe sort of connective tissue drawn between, well, AI gives us leverage, therefore we need less people. Whereas I think it might actually be more of a necessity is the mother of invention. So the fact that you are not allowed to hire more people means that I'm going to force you to start to, and it's necessary that you become more efficient. And clearly your avenue to do that is to get much more proficient with AI, which is going to be good for me as a business leader, or good for us as a business. So I think it might be more that than it is because I want to use this to like make sure we have a smaller team. I think things will snap back and people really in this new formed way of working where you have AI much more at the core of how business gets done within these companies, you may find that sort of teams are just as large actually, and you just like make use of the fact that you have this intelligence on tap, and the more people you have that can orchestrate it means that you can ship things quicker. Like I would still go back to every company, including mine, has a list of things they want to do that is far longer than the list of things that they're currently doing. So it's not, and I think that's probably true for Shopify and these other companies we've mentioned. They have a massive backlog of things they wish they could do that they're not doing. And so I don't think they're looking, well, we're not going to hire these people because we don't want to do these things in our backlog. They're looking at it as almost fixing the sort of the average leverage per employee in the company.
Yeah.
And like, this is a way to force that. But they still want to get through their backlog far quicker and like win the game. So I think there'll be an unfortunate sort of maybe mislabeling of this is just a pure cost cutting thing. I don't think that's probably what these folks are thinking.
Yeah, it's a really good point, which is just like always the product roadmap is like it's never ending, essentially, at almost every company.
Hey everyone, we'll be right back in a moment after a word from our sponsors.
If you're the decision maker at your company, we have great news for you, for your HR organization, and for your employees. A new and future-forward way to do health benefits is here from Thatch. Not only do your employees get better health benefits with Thatch, but you save an average of $1,620 per employee per year. That's right, you can save over $1,600 per employee per year. Plus, Thatch reduces the time the HR team spend administering benefits. Businesses all over the country love Thatch's breakthrough approach. Rather than a wasteful, one-size-fits-all plan, Thatch empowers their employees by letting them customize their own benefits plan. You save money and time while providing employees with better health benefits, which works better for everyone. Book a demo with Thatch and we'll send you a $100 gift card. Visit thatch.ai/HR to book a demo for your gift card. That's thatch.ai/HR.
Your workforce is your organization's greatest strength and often its largest single expense. But without the right tools, understanding where your workforce spend is going or how it impacts your bottom line can be a challenge. That's where Planful comes in. With Planful, HR and finance teams get the clarity they need to make smarter workforce decisions, gain real-time visibility into workforce fluctuations, forecast with confidence, and adjust talent acquisition plans collaboratively based on costs today and into the future. No more guesswork, just data-driven insights to help you plan with accuracy. And the best part, Planful is fast and easy to implement, so you can be up and running in weeks, not months, with minimal IT support. Plus, as your company grows, Planful grows with you, providing endless runway for strategic workforce planning at any scale. Ready to take your workforce planning to the next level? Join over 1,500 organizations already using Planful. Visit planful.com/heretics to learn more.
The one thing Aaron from Box said, which I thought was like really interesting as one of his bullets, was to upskill every employee to be AI first over time with more education and awareness. So, okay, so I train mixed martial arts, and the guy who I train with, he has been using AI as like a coach and a thought partner for how to give his employees feedback. And it was like a really interesting thing. And then I heard someone else say, I'm using ChatGPT as my therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And so it made me think a little bit about L&D, which is kind of like one of these topics that I've been hating on for a while because I feel like the ROI is pretty low. Nobody wants to like sit in a class or like do a course that's making your eyes bleed. And so I actually think Aaron's onto something here, which is using AI or even like AI native tools. So maybe it's not ChatGPT, maybe it's something more purpose built to help upskill the people we already have and making that more on the employee versus the employer. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
I think like personal tuition, like which is obviously something people are talking a lot about in the education realm. I think maybe it was probably like 18 months ago now, but Khan Academy were a part of one of the GPT releases. Sort of Khan Academy sort of came out and showed like what this personal AI tuition could look like. I think that's a real thing, and I think that will infect every part of that will also be true within an organization. I guess the only thing I think sometimes you have a tendency to like like straight up replace the current workflow. Hey, humans are currently helping you with your L&D, and they get up in front of on stage and like tell you about this stuff, and now we can do that like on demand. You don't have to actually do it at a time that person's available. You can do it when that's not really what's going to happen. It's just going to be much more like in the moment tuition when you need it, which I think why this reflexiveness is a really good word to use, because it's one of the sort of the core things that you should have in mind when you're blocked on something is, well, who can help me with this problem? And I remember back when I was, well, frankly, anything before like 2.5 years ago, the idea would be you'd have like rules for yourself. Like, I'll spend like 20 minutes trying to solve the problem for myself. And if I'm literally getting nowhere, only then will I speak to and you get pissed off with some members of your team. Like, you're asking me as soon as you hit the block, you haven't even tried to solve this yourself. That's bad. And you get pissed off with other members of your team. Like, you've been looking at this for 3 hours. And if you had have asked me, I could have told you what to do. And so like, that sort of is going to go away, and you're going to bring in an AI to help you and like work through these things. And that's how you're going to learn. You're going to learn by doing. So I don't know if it'll be a straight up like L&D thing. Maybe there'll be like a sort of this sort of like inception moment where it's like the L&D to teach people how to use AI will be more sort of traditional, because you need to sort of.
I totally think so. I 100% think that's coming. Like, I dropped a video this week. Did you see that video I dropped? Like, I dropped a video this week of like 2 hours of like, it's on my LinkedIn. That thing, like 10 minutes in, I was like, oh my God, I've never seen this before. So like, I do think there is this like how to use it thing, which we've talked about in the past, that people need to figure out.
Yeah. I think like show and tell, like we do this even when, frankly, in our like customer success motion, is we will have people, when we deploy Metaview at a company, there are like some power user features that some people naturally gravitate. Obviously, we do a bunch of work to try and get people familiar with them and whatever, but some people just naturally pick it up more quickly than others. And then like, what can we do to like put those people on a pedestal and make sure everyone's aware of how they're doing their work? So I think like it is a bit of monkey see, monkey do type situation. One of the things that, again, this is more to do with L&D, frankly, than it is to do with AI, is merely knowing that something is possible is the biggest thing often to unlock your ability to keep on trying to do it, right? If you don't know if something's possible or not, you will just like, you might stop after 20 minutes. Say, there's a chance this isn't possible. I haven't been able to do it in 20 minutes. I'll probably just go and do something else instead. Whereas if you've seen, even if it's like in a distance, or one of these YouTube videos, you've seen that someone knows how to do this, you'll keep on going to crack it because you know it's possible. So I think there'll be like just holding up examples of people doing great work that will probably unlock a lot of ingenuity. But I think the sort of like force feeding, you're going to have to get AI like that. I don't think you'll get some success, but it's probably like, what's the phrase that I'm looking for? If you want to like, there's some like old explorer had this phrase that was like, if you want people to sort of sail the world with you, don't like tell them to go and fetch wood and build a boat, just teach them to long for the seas. That's like, the people who do the great work are going to be the people who like see what amazing things can be done and then like push the boundaries of it themselves because they want the outcome. And like what you can teach them is sort of like incidental. It might help them along the way. It might help them get there like a few days or hours quicker, but it's probably not going to be the difference maker.
I love your idea of taking like someone who's using it in like a really interesting capacity and putting them up in front of everybody in a show and tell way and saying like, just show them what you're doing. Like that's the positive version of how we can use AI in the organization and how it's a baseline expectation. I think the more of like the stick version of it is, I think we're going to start to see this come up in performance reviews. I think it's going to be a performance review question, which is like, how are you using AI to create more leverage in your day-to-day work? That question is 100% coming. And, to your point, I think it's probably actually both. Right. Which is like, we have this carrot version, which is like show the best person and have that like be a recurring theme on a weekly basis. And then the stick version, which is like, all right, it's performance time. We haven't heard from you. We're going to make sure that you're actually using it.
Yeah. Totally agree. But just because that will be temporary too, right? Like that's just because we're giving people grace of like, hey, if you're trying to use AI, if you're not actually making yourself more efficient, but you are trying because you're exploring and none of us fully know how to do this yet, then we're going to give you grace on that. But at some point, it's just going to come down to like, who are my most efficient and productive, as it always does at some level, who are my most efficient and productive and effective people in the company? And if I have whatever my existing way of measuring that, I'm going to sort of like the way you get there will, of course, be leveraging AI, because any high performer is going to be leveraging it. Unless we're all wrong and this is hype and not true, which of course we all have accepted is not anymore.
No.
But it's just going to be, I think we'll sort of, there's some things don't change as well. I think people want more productive, effective teammates and employees. And this is a proxy for that. But there'll probably be a little bit of spun wheels and like wasted effort trying to like force things to be, go through the lens of AI unnecessarily. But net, it's going to be a really good thing.
Yep. It certainly is a proxy. All right, everybody. So let us know what you want to see on the next AI Corner. Sile and I are riffing ideas right now, but I find these to be very helpful. Sile, thanks so much for the time, man.
Yeah. One thing I just want to add, I'd love to know other folks out there, if there has been an AI mandate. Obviously, these folks have done these public proclamations. They're really large companies. I know it's happening at smaller companies all the time. So we'd love to sort of hear folks' experience with that and like how they've reacted to it. What have they done about it?
Yep. Sounds good. Thanks all.
I must admit, I used to believe that AI didn't actually exist in recruiting or HR. That is until my friend Heather Doche, who leads talent at Signalfire, told me to check out Metaview. I got into the product and was like, wow, AI actually does exist in recruiting, and this product is sick. Metaview is the world's #1 AI scribe built specifically for recruiting. Their AI records and transcribes hiring conversations, like intakes, interviews, and debriefs, then provides perfectly summarized notes of everything that was discussed. I've seen firsthand how tough it can be to extract consistently high-quality data from candidate conversations. I've been in debriefs where interviewers told us about their feelings instead of what actually happened in the interview. And I've seen VPs and CEOs block hires because they didn't learn anything from skeleton scorecards. Metaview changes everything. With perfect notes from every conversation, your people can focus on creating a human connection with candidates, and they can save time on the busy work of cleaning up notes after every interview. But it's so much more than just a time saver, because perfect notes means perfect data. For every candidate and every pipeline, hiring teams can make confident, informed decisions, and talent leaders can finally take control of the interview process. Metaview covers all your compliance needs, works with all your existing tools, and takes less than 3 minutes to set up. Join talent leaders at organizations like Brex, Deal, HelloFresh, and Quora, and check out Metaview. Head over to metaview.ai/heretics to talk to one of Metaview's product experts. Tell them that me and Kelly sent you. Or you could just go to their website and get started for free. You'll be up, running, and AI-enabled in minutes.
HR Heretics is a podcast from Turpentine, the network behind Econ 102, Moment of Zen, and Turpentine VC. Subscribe, 5 stars, share it on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, all the things.